Welcome into the Chiefs Report. I am Harrison Graham. You guys have been asking for it. It's way too early, 2021 mock draft time here on the Chiefs Report. A little background info before we get into it. As of now, Kansas City has 6 draft picks for next year's draft. No 6th-round pick because of the Thakarius Keyes trade from last year. Remember, Kansas City traded back into the NFL draft to draft Keyes in round 7, gave up a 6th to do so, and of course we will not know compensatory picks for a while, so this could obviously change. Kansas City could get an extra pick or 2, and obviously they could make a lot of trades between now and the actual draft, but let's go ahead and have some fun. Let's look at this year's draft selections before we get into my mock draft for next year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Willie Gay Jr., Lucas Niang, your day 1 and day 2 picks, rounds 1 through round 3, and then of course the day 3 picks as well. L'Jarius Sneed, the corner out of Louisiana Tech, Michael Dana, the edge out of Michigan, and then like I mentioned, Bo Pete Keyes there in round 7 out of Tulane. Before we get into my 2021 mock, which 2020 draft pick are you most excited for? Let me know in the comment section down below. Which of these rookies are you most excited to watch this season? All right, round 1 of my 2021 Chiefs mock draft. The simulator is from the Draft Network, and hey, they believe the Chiefs will repeat. Pick number 32, I'm going Tyler Shelvin, the nose tackle out of LSU. This guy is a massive human being. Listed at 6'3", 340 pounds, but I've seen him listed in certain outlets at over 360. He is simply massive and a really good athlete for his size. Run stuffer, eats up blockers. This is a guy that demands double teams because he's just too big. This would be an upgrade, in my opinion, from a Derrick Nnadi, from a Mike Pennel on next year's defensive line. I think he'd be an ideal fit next to Chris Jones, who's more of the finesse defensive tackle type and, more of the pass rushing type. Tyler Shelvin's not going to get after the passer much, and he's not going to have raw stats that wow you, but trust me, he is an impact player, especially against the run game. This is the defensive line as of now. You put Shelvin next to Jones, Clark, and someone else coming on the outside, maybe Okafor's there as well. That's a pretty formidable defensive line of a group that's already pretty solid. I think Shelvin would be an excellent addition to this defense, who at times has struggled against the run. Other players on the board at this selection, Travis Etienne, obviously not going to take it back, but he was the highest rated player still on the board. Considered Alex Leatherwood, the tackle out of Alabama. Obviously, you had a couple of Wake Forest players there. Sage Surratt is an interesting player, the wide receiver. And then Josh Myers, the interior offensive lineman out of Ohio State. I think the Chiefs could be looking for a guard in next year's draft, so keep that in mind as well. Before we get into my second round selection, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Hit that big red subscribe button. We're putting up videos almost every single day. We don't just do the latest rumors, news, Q&As. We do videos like this, 2021 mock drafts. During the season, we'll do game grades and predictions. So stay tuned. Make sure you're subscribed and never, ever miss a video. Round 2 of my way too early mock draft. How about Derion Kendrick, the corner out of Clemson? Worked his way into the lineup last year for Dabo Swinney in that defense. Still a bit raw. The attributes are there, though. Should be the number 1 corner for Clemson this year. Obviously, AJ Terrell's off to the NFL, so he will have a bigger expectation on his play. I think round 2 is a good value. He's a bit raw, but he's got a good enough size. He's got a good enough athleticism. I think he's got a chance to really be a first-round prospect. I think round 2, round 3 is about right for him from what we know at this moment. Did have a couple of interceptions last year as a sophomore, so he doesn't necessarily have to come out after the season because he'll just be a junior. But if he does, I think he's probably a round 2 type of player, and I think that would be good value for Kansas City, who will likely need a corner next year because Bashaud Breeland and Charvarius Ward are both free agents. So they're going to have to either bring both those guys back or draft a corner. I thought they were going to do that earlier in the draft this year. I would expect that to be the case and even more likely in next year's draft. So I went with Derion Kendrick, the Clemson corner, but here were some other options, some good skill players here. Chris Olave out of Ohio State. Chuba Hubbard, the Oklahoma State running back, was on the board. Andre Cisco, the safety out of Syracuse, who's a really good prospect. Terrace Marshall Jr., the LSU wide receiver. And then Jabril Cox, the linebacker out of North Dakota State. Small school, but he is expected to be a top 100 type of player. Again, I went with Derion Kendrick, the cornerback out of Clemson. Now, what is your favorite part of the NFL offseason? Do you like the draft more? Do you like free agency more? Let me know in the comment section. If it's the draft, type D for draft. If it's free agency, go ahead and type F. Round 3 here, I'm going to go with Tylan Wallace, the wide receiver out of Oklahoma State. Probably would have been a first-round pick if he didn't tear his ACL late last season. Decided to return to school for his senior year due to that injury, due to his stock dropping a bit with the injury. He's a first-round talent, though. Explosive playmaker with big-time production at Oklahoma State. I like this kid a lot. I think he's got a chance to be an explosive playmaker if he returns from injury the way I believe he can. Was a really good, has been a really good player at Oklahoma State. Had like 1,400 yards this sophomore season. Had over 900 yards last season in just 9 games. I think he'll be a really good NFL player if he gets back and gets healthy. And look, Sammy Watkins, Demarcus Robinson are both free agents after this year. So I think Tylan Wallace could be your Sammy Watkins type of replacement, be your number 2, be your number 3 receiver. I think Hardman will elevate to that number 2 guy, but Tylan Wallace is just another speedy player that would fit just fine on this offense for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'll be interested to see what his draft value ends up being, assuming he does return healthy. Other players on the board here in round 3, Marco Wilson, the Florida corner, but obviously I went corner in round 2. Kylan Hill, the Mississippi State running back. Nick Bolton, the wide receiver, or the linebacker out of Missouri, Daz Newsome, the wide receiver out of North Carolina. And then Malcolm Kuntz, the edge rusher out of Buffalo. Some other players that were highly touted and highly ranked when I selected Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State here in the 3rd round. Will Sammy Watkins be on the team after this season? Type Y for yes, type N for no. I'm going to put it at like 10%. I think it's pretty unlikely. I don't think the Chiefs will bring him back after this year, but we will see. You never know. Let me know what you guys think down below. Deal of the day here on Chat Sports. We hope you're staying safe out there. Look, most of us have a face mask at this point, right? Look, the one I have, it's not great. So I ordered one of these to rep Chiefs Kingdom. You can do so as well at chatsports.com/ChiefsMask1. I'll put that link in the comments, and I'll put it in the description. Make it easy for you guys. If you want to upgrade from, the boring, just plain Jane face covering that you have right now to a Chiefs one, go to chatsports.com/ChiefsMask1. All right, let's get into day 3 of my Chiefs 2021 mock draft. Our Darius Washington out of TCU as a TCU alum. This guy came out of nowhere this past season as a redshirt freshman and was arguably the best player on TCU's defense last year if it wasn't for his teammate Trayvon Merrick, fellow safety, who was really good. Pro Football Focus graded both the TCU safeties as the top 2 in college football, Washington being just a couple of, grade points behind Merrick. He's a really instinctive player, undersized though, 5'8", about 175, 180 pounds. Maybe he's more of a nickel in the NFL, but the guy reads quarterbacks' eyes very, very well. Had 5 interceptions, 7 pass breakups this past season. Good tackler for his size. I think he's, going to be one of those versatile type of DBs that can move around in the NFL. I'm not saying he'll be as good as Tyrann Mathieu, but he has that kind of ability where you can line him up at different spots. He can play a little outside. He can play safety. I think he can play nickel in the NFL as well. If he was a couple inches taller, he'd probably be a top 50 type of prospect, but maybe he'll be a round 3, maybe he'll be a round 4 type of guy. Only a redshirt sophomore, so no guarantee that he will turn pro, but I think it's good value in round 4. I mentioned I'm a TCU alum, so that's my favorite college team. What is your favorite college team? Producer Alicia has obviously got us all beat as she is a Clemson alum. They do pretty well these days. Let us know, what is your favorite college football team? Other players on the board here in round 4 when I took our Darius Washington, Justin Ross. This is interesting because he's a round 1 talent, but with the neck/spinal issue, he may fall to day 3. So let's see what happens there once we get to the draft. Kwity Paye, you got Baron Browning, the linebacker out of Ohio State. Josh Ross, another linebacker there out of Michigan. And then Keith Taylor, the Washington cornerback. I opted to go safety in our Darius Washington. In round 5, I'm going to go back to the well here. Give me another receiver, Nico Collins out of Michigan. Big frame guy, 6'4", 222 pounds. He would give the Chiefs offense a different look. Big frame. Chiefs don't have that at receiver. They have smaller, fast guys. Nico has decent speed as well for his size, has big play upside. He would, I think, be kind of that Demarcus Robinson replacement, who's also a free agent. He comes in, he's your 4th wide receiver on the roster. I think he would have a chance to be a depth type of player for Kansas City's offense at wide receiver. You see the production there, over 600 yards in 2018, over 700 yards in 2019 for the Michigan Wolverines, and that's with average to below. That's with Shea Patterson, who on the Chiefs, ironically, who wasn't that good in college, if we're being completely honest. So I think he's an intriguing prospect. Like I said, good size, has some big play upside as well. Averaged about 20 yards a catch this past season for the Wolverines. Other players I considered here, you had Demetric Felton, the running back / wide receiver out of UCLA. Jamie Newman, the Wake transfer who's playing at Georgia this year. I'm intrigued to see what he does. Obviously, the Chiefs don't really need a quarterback. Jamar Watson, the edge out of Kentucky. Adrian Ely, the tackle out of Oklahoma. And then Michigan corner Ambry Thomas. Lots of Michigan players available in this range. I opted for the wide receiver, Nico Collins. All right, no sixth-round pick because of the Thakarius Keyes trade, like I mentioned. Joseph Ossai here in round 7. Intriguing athlete who's still improving. I don't think he comes out next year, but he is draft eligible. I think he can improve his stock by playing a couple more years in college football. Does a little bit of everything as that kind of edge linebacker hybrid there for the University of Texas. He's an intriguing prospect, has good athleticism. I think he's definitely worth a gamble here in round 7, but like I said, I think he'll go back to school probably. But if he does come out, this was the production last year, 90 tackles, the tackles for loss were there, had 5 sacks as well, and 2 interceptions. So you kind of see the versatility that he can bring to the table for a football team, and that is very, very valuable in today's NFL. Other players here were Kellen Mond, the Texas A&M quarterback. I think he's worth a pick in round 7 potentially. J.D. Spielman, the wide receiver out of Nebraska. Dameon Pierce out of Florida. North Carolina State defensive tackle Aleem McNeil. And then Ashari Crosswell, that is spelled correctly, by the way, out of Arizona State. Another defensive back available as well. So grade my Chiefs 2021 mock draft, 6 picks. That's all we got for now. A, B, C, D, or F. Let me know how I did in the comments. Also, let me know what you would have done differently down in the comments section. And just to recap real quick, if you need a little refresher before you type your grades there, Tyler Shelvin, the nose tackle out of LSU in round 1. I went corner in round 2, and Derion Kendrick out of Clemson. Oklahoma State wide receiver Tylan Wallace fell to me in round 3. Rounds 4, 5, and 7, again, no 6th-round pick, are Darius Washington in the 4th round, the safety out of TCU, Nico Collins, the Michigan wide receiver in round 5, and then Joseph Ossai, the kind of do-it-all linebacker, edge rusher out of Texas in round 7. That's my way too early Chiefs 2021 mock draft. We will obviously do more of these as we get closer to next year's draft.